NASCAR just told a guy with nearly 5 million subscribers, "You're not ready." Not a maybe, not a let's talk, a flat-out denial. And here's the part nobody is saying out loud. The guy they blocked might be the best thing to happen to this sport in a decade. So why did NASCAR say no? And more importantly, what does it tell us about where stock car racing actually stands right now? Because this story isn't really about Cletus McFarland. It's about a sport that desperately needs new fans, a team that made a move nobody saw coming, and a decision that exposed a fault line running right through the middle of NASCAR's garage. Stay with me, because the piece everyone missed is buried about halfway through, and once you see it, the whole thing looks completely different. Garrett Mitchell, known online as Cletus McFarland, didn't come up through the racing system. No karting career, no development deal, no sponsor grooming him since he was 12. He built 5 million subscribers on YouTube doing burnouts, wrenching on junk cars, and being completely, uncomplicatedly himself. His entire NASCAR resume before all of this, roughly 5 ARCA races, 2 top 10 finishes, and 1 Truck Series start in February 2026 that ended in a crash. That's it. That's the guy Richard Childress Racing signed. So the question isn't whether Cletus McFarland belongs at Talladega. The question is how someone with that resume ended up in an RCR Chevrolet at all. And when you find out how the conversation actually started, it makes a lot more sense, and simultaneously raises a much bigger question about what NASCAR teams are actually selling these days. It started with Ty Dillon making a phone call. Dillon, who races Cup for Childress and is Richard Childress's own grandson, had found Cletus's content on social media and wanted to know one thing: what does this guy actually want? Cletus told him straight he loves super speedways, and racing the Daytona 500 would be a dream. Dillon took that back to RCR. But he had one firm condition before he'd push the idea any further. Cletus had to stay exactly who he is. No polishing, no PR coaching. If the fun went away, Dillon said, they were failing. That's the deal that got announced in early March 2026. 3 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series races per season. NASCAR's old guard had opinions immediately. Kyle Petty said internet personalities don't belong on a racetrack with professional drivers. Kyle Busch, who drives for RCR in the Cup Series, remember, so this is a teammate, essentially questioned the experience gap publicly. He pointed out that Denny Hamlin ran 10,000 races before he got to NASCAR. Then added that his 10-year-old son has probably run more races than Cletus, his 10-year-old. Bubba Wallace's spotter raised safety concerns. These weren't keyboard critics. These were people in the garage every single week. And Cletus heard all of it. April 4th, 2026. Rockingham Speedway. Cletus ran double duty, and the two halves of that day told completely opposite stories. The ARCA Menard Series East race went well. He kept the car clean, ran the whole race, and crossed the line 4th, his best finish in any NASCAR division. After the race, he dedicated the result to his late friend Greg Biffle, the former NASCAR champion who died in a plane crash along with his wife and 2 children in December 2025. He said he just went out there and turned left for Greg Biffle. That was the good part of the day. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race told a different story entirely. He started 35th out of 38 cars. By lap 4, he was already sideways in turn 1, 3 wide, barely saving the car but losing massive ground. Lap 49, Blake Lothian spun directly in front of him, and Cletus had to dive to the apron, missing him by inches. Then lap 206, the 33 broke loose in turn 3, spun back into traffic, and drew the 7th caution flag of the day. He also picked up a pit road speeding penalty. He finished 32nd, 6 laps behind the winner. After the race, he called it the hardest thing he'd ever done in his life. He wasn't wrong. RCR's Vice President of O'Reilly Series Operations, Danny Lawrence, was honest rather than kind about it. He said Rockingham is hard, and Cletus did well in a couple of moments where he could have collected the whole field. But Lawrence also said plainly that there were a lot of things they wanted to see happen that didn't. The team never ran a live pit stop. After Cletus got sideways early, they shifted into survival mode. Just keep rolling, don't push. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier, the defending O'Reilly Series champion, said Cletus did a great job, that he stayed out of the way every single time he got lapped, that he was proud of him. So you've got the defending champion praising him and his own team's vice president saying it wasn't enough. Figure that one out. Tommy Baldwin compared it to skipping from 7th grade straight to college. You don't do it. You go through the steps, ARCA, late models, car control, all of it. Freddie Kraft pointed out that during the race, Cletus was heard on his in-car audio having a conversation with his spotter, where he essentially didn't know what inside meant. Kraft called it Racing 101, and he wasn't wrong to say it. Then Mark Martin, who had been broadly supportive of the whole project, delivered what might be the most politely devastating line of the entire weekend. The best thing about Cletus is his interviews. In NASCAR circles, that's not a compliment. That's a verdict. On April 7th, 2026, NASCAR officially denied Cletus McFarland's entry to race at Talladega Superspeedway. Brad Probst confirmed he's approved for ARCA, Truck Series, and O'Reilly short tracks, just not superspeedways yet. Dale Earnhardt Jr. backed the decision publicly. He'd watched the Truck Series test, the O'Reilly test, and the Rockingham race, and said he saw enough specifically repeated loss of car control to not approve him for Daytona or Talladega. His recommendation was 1, 2, maybe 3 more events first. Cletus called it a kick in the nuts on Facebook, but said it wasn't the letdown it looked like. And that's where most coverage stopped. Here's what it didn't say. When Cletus raced at Rockingham, O'Reilly Series viewership was up over 11% year over year. The Daytona Truck Series opener, where Cletus lined up alongside Tony Stewart and Travis Pastrana, drew 1.387 million viewers on FS1. A 37% increase over the previous year. The highest viewership for a Truck Series race since 2016. 4 of the first 8 O'Reilly races in 2026 posted year-over-year gains. NASCAR didn't deny Cletus McFarland because he isn't adding value. The numbers make that case impossible to argue. They denied him because they have to manage the pace of how they use him, and those are 2 completely different things. So here's what I keep coming back to. NASCAR just denied entry to the guy who is single-handedly moving their viewership numbers in a direction the sport hasn't seen in years. They did it because the garage said he isn't ready, and honestly, based on Rockingham, the garage has a point. But that creates a tension that isn't going away. What happens when the person drawing the new audience and the person who meets the professional standard are not the same person? Is NASCAR protecting its product or protecting itself from a conversation it isn't ready to have? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you think the decision was wrong, tell me exactly what you would have done differently.